everybody, it's Maureen. I promised you guys I'd be making a video soon, and here she is. This happens to be my new to me spinning wheel. I had quite a drive to go pick her up, and I want to kind of show you more of a close-up view of how she works. I didn't get to do that with the last spinning wheel video. This happens to be what they call a castle style wheel. So your wheel is down here, your flyer and bobbin are right here. The tensioner actually happens to be right over here, which moves this up and down. This one actually happens to have a built-in orifice hook. It's really super sharp, so I do have to be careful, but what I like is that it goes completely in the orifice. And the orifice is also very large, so I'm able to do a lot more plying than I normally would. It looks to be made of either maple or a red oak kind of situation. My other wheel, which I have right over here, is made of mixed kinds of wood and then is stained a particular color. This one I happen to have a bright colored wool on here. Let's see here. I want to be able to get her started. Just draft a little bit onto my spool here. Nope. Sometimes likes to go the other way. There we go. She's not as clacky as she was earlier, but I was a bit worried that she was going to sound like a galloping horse. But there happens to be a very nifty joint at the bottom of the pedal that allows the flexibility, which is also creating the noise that you're hearing. But if you notice, this drafts on just a little bit slower. Now, some of that is controlled by my speed of pedaling or treadling, however you want to call it. But one of the purposes of picking up this wheel as compared to continuing to use my antique wheel, which still works fine, is that this happens to have a built-in, let's see, Lazy Kate. I want to call it a Lazy Susan, but that's something else. A Lazy Kate basically has bits of a stick to hold your spools, which are right here. And what that happens there is it allows me to have full spools of wool, and then I can use that to ply. Basically, I would have two spools down here that are full, and I would be twisting them together. Both of my spinning wheels are spinning on a counterclockwise fashion at this point in time, is what I've been, well actually this one's going clockwise. But anyway, which one direction creates Z twist, the other direction creates S twist, and I believe with plying you want to have one of one direction and one of the other so they happen to twist together naturally based on the way that they were spun. So I will have to look at my wool that I have downstairs that I have already spun to see what can be plied together. Most of it is mainly solid sheep's wool colors. So we're talking brown, maybe like a darker black, and a cream color. So much of it is your natural sheep's wool colors. This bright one happened to come with this spinning wheel, and I'm enjoying it quite a lot. So I'm hoping to kind of do some crazy colors for fun. Wouldn't particularly be for any kind of SCA related medieval project, but it's actually the reason that I also picked up this wheel is because I could do plying on it. The orifice is much larger. The spools are actually much larger too. So that allows me to create enough yarn to then weave with. which I have about 4 or 5 projects that I want to use this wheel for. Basically spin all the wool, put it on my loom, weave it all up, and then create a lady's fitted waistcoat from those particular colors. I have a camel color and a dark chocolate color wool. I also have a black and gray as well. So that's the new wheel. On the Lazy Kate over here, it happens to have kind of like a wool chopstick or a wooden chopstick with an end on it. But the spools are actually quite big. They are about 5 inches long total, about 3.5 here. And they're about 3.5 wide. So these are chunky. They are actually quite heavy. I have some spools I found that are close in measurement to give me a total of 5 spools to be able to use on this wheel. So I'm really excited on that. Just gently feeding that back in here. But having the orifice hook, I'm really greatly impressed with that, and it has its own little home right here. This wheel also has a much smaller footprint as far as the arrangement than my other spinning wheel has, probably twice as big a footprint. So let me switch wheels here. So bear with me. Just move the one and move the one over. Now you noticed that that particular wheel happened to have quite a bit of noise to it, and that, I have to say, is something that I'm not used to. It definitely has its own little noise. Now this wheel, and I'm showing it to you sort of in this fashion, it's backwards right now, but I'll move it in a minute, happens to be what they consider the Saxony style classic spinning wheel. So normally have your wheel here, a slanted body, and then the business end right here. So let me spin this around so I can use it. I'm going to have to probably move you guys here so you can watch the business end. As you noticed, it was a little easier watching the wheel. Now, with this wheel, since it's an antique, you can still see it, it's mostly in frame. I ended up having to do a lot of work with getting spools that were the right size, and I had a metal end over here, and I changed it back to leather. So I have a leather strap around, wrapped around, and there's a leather strap here that holds the orifice. But if you notice, I'm gonna kind of move you guys closer. The orifice on this wheel is super, super tiny, and it makes it really challenging when trying to actually feed. Just gonna go ahead and kind of show her for now while she's being agreeable. Kind of anything that will go wrong does go wrong with this wheel, which is some of the reason why I got a second one for production spinning. She does spin wool pretty well, but because she's originally designed to be a flax wheel, she drafts really quickly, and for wool, her twist is really strong. So what ends up happening is you end up breaking your wool a little bit easier. So I'm not treadling as much as I was with her earlier, but let's give it a try. Here we go. But she's always been temperamental ever since I got her, so that always makes things very tricky. and it made it very difficult to learn on her. So I will put this advice out there. If you get an antique wheel, unless you already know how to do spinning wheels, I don't recommend learning on one because they're very temperamental. I mean, unless they're kept in like perfect pristine condition and are completely workable, maybe. But I don't recommend it because I spent basically 30 minutes trying to get her up and running here, and she was working just fine earlier. So yet again, can that happen on a modern wheel? Oh, definitely, but still. So just spinning some typical sheep's colored wool here. This is more of an Icelandic breed, so the staple hairs are a little bit longer. When I'm lazy and I'm not in the mood to treadle, I just poke at the wheel and spin it around and draft in the twist. I had to change spools because I finished up a spool. So that's what it looks like when they're full. So this is my traditional spinning wheel. She would be considered a Saxony wheel because you have the slanted body, the wheel, and then the maiden area is sort of a little bit lower. Then you have a distaff over here for flax. That's how we know that she's a flax wheel. She really came with a distaff itself. And as promised, I wanted to show you my new wheel, which is really going to be quite my workhorse. So bear with me while I change these two around. This would be considered a castle wheel. What a castle wheel is basically instead of the wheel being off to the side and your workspace being down here, your workspace is above your wheel. Now, I particularly purchased this one because I needed one that worked in such a manner that I could do quite a bit of spinning very quickly. I'm sure you can hear just right off the bat, she even sounds different. She has a hinge where the pedal connects, which creates that noise. It's a much smoother operation, a bigger orifice so I can do plying, and a built-in Lazy Kate down here with extra spools. So A, you can store your spools, and B, you can ply right from the front of your wheel. It comes also with a built-in orifice hook that fits right inside this orifice. So I don't have to fiddle with anything, which is fantastic. I can just go ahead and spin. It's also nice not having to search for parts, really. This wheel was made in the late 70s, early 80s, so I mean, it's not 200 years old like Saxony flax wheel over there. I also feel I can get a consistent yarn from this a bit better. Tension is over here, actually. I can scooch it forward. There we go. Tension is this. It actually turns back and forth and moves this up and down. And then nice clean hooks. With the older wheel, any of the flyers I could find that would fit, these were always rusted and it was always a problem. So, well worth the trip. The bright colored wool you see came with the wheel, so nice just to spin something that looks a little different. Sounds more like a galloping horse. But every wheel you have will actually sound a little bit different, so keep that in mind. But also, for all the metal parts, you do want to keep a spinning wheel oil around to oil those parts so they don't become squeaky. A squeaky wheel is not nice. Very easy to spin, no fuss, no muss, which was the whole purpose of getting this one. Plus, this has also a smaller footprint. This is my Saxony wheel has like twice the footprint this does, so this is just sort of nice to kind of keep in the corner out of the way when one wants to get work done. So as promised, a video on my new spinning wheel, or new to me spinning wheel, kind of showing you the differences between what a Saxony wheel is and what I'm using right here, which is called a Castle wheel. They both do spinning, it's just the arrangement is different as to where the work end is located in conjunction to the wheel itself. The Saxony wheel is the one you see most often, so I believe that was created first, but don't quote me on that. If someone else out there has information as to which style was created first, that'd be great. Almost done with the teal part, look at that. That shows you how quickly it drafts and spins everything. Of course, this is great to do in the winter or, you know, when you're stuck inside. So my plans are to basically spin all the roving that I have, and I have three projects actually that I plan on using this with. One of those particularly is creating ladies fitted waistcoats from what I'm going to spin. So one in like a camel and a brown color, one in a gray and a black, and then I have a blue and teal combination. I just don't know if I have enough wool to weave it up. I might have to buy more, but we'll see. But I have the beginnings of that one yet to do. Enjoy a variegated yarn because you get an interesting color in the twist. And I hope to post more progress as I go along. The Dastardly Doll project, if you keep on Instagram, I'm still working on her right now. We have a layer of gesso down on the face and hands and feet, and painting is commencing, so keep tuned to my Instagram to see progress on the Dastardly Doll project as well. This is Maureen with Tudorosities signing off. Have a great Sunday afternoon.